Thank you. Announcements, awards, special recognition. We have none on the agenda. Public comment.
We have 4 residents sign up to speak. The first person signed up is James Clifton.
James Clifton, Fielding Ridge Precinct. Since the last meeting, I've been conducting a forensic investigation of the missing audio from the Fayette County Development Authority presentation at the Kennesaw Retreat, including retrieval and analysis of metadata and other file attributes. Tonight, I'm going to present some of those findings. The Kennesaw Retreat was recorded on an Evita V618 voice recorder. There are 4 recordings covering 14 hours. The 4 recordings correspond to a morning session on the 29th, an afternoon session on the 29th, a morning session on the 30th, and an afternoon session on the 30th. The file name for each of the 4 recordings provided by the clerk's office contains an associated date stamp. The date on the voice recorder had not been set to the correct date and registered as October 10th, 2025. This is not uncommon with electronic devices that are not connected to Wi-Fi and require manual adjustment of the date. The first recording of the retreat on the morning of January 29th, 2026 shows that it was the 11th recording on the device with a date of October 10th, 2025. Here's where the forensic analysis becomes concerning. The next audio file sequentially is the January 30th, 2026 morning session from the Kennesaw Retreat and not the afternoon session from January 29th. The afternoon session from the January 29th portion of the meeting with the missing audio from the Fayette County Development Authority presentation has a file name date stamp 10 days after the recording actually took place. I consulted the device manufacturer about the anomaly. They stated that this would only occur if the audio file was re-recorded, altered, or edited 10 days later. If you look at the calendar of events, the date this file was altered was 5 days after I began to dig into the subjects discussed at the Kennesaw Retreat, and 2 days after the Fayette County Development Authority reached out to me to attempt to sway my opinion about data centers. At this point in the investigation, the term scapegoat begins to be thrown around. Having served as an assistant special master investigating corruption in the city of South Fulton City Council, I have seen this scenario play out. Fingers start getting pointed, and unfortunately, they often are all directed at a lower-ranking employee, which is why my attention now turns to the recording clerk, Martha Barksdale. Mrs. Barksdale, you can get ahead of the accusations by attaining protected status as a whistleblower.
Please direct your comments to the mayor. Thank you so much.
You can avoid retaliatory termination and maintain your reputation, but it will require you to answer some difficult questions honestly. Did you record the presentation by the Fayette County Development Authority at the Kennesaw Retreat on January 29th, 2026?
Please direct your comments to the mayor. Thank you so much.
If you don't come forward with this information, the clerk's office will say that the audio recording was missing when you return the Evita V618 voice recorder to their office, and the blame will be placed on you solely. Last, I want to address the coordinated effort on social media and in the newspaper to undermine my credibility and malign my reputation. My wife cries herself to sleep at night because of these malicious attacks. But she wakes up in the morning and she tells me to keep fighting. Do you want to know why? Because this city and this county are worth it, and I will not stop.
Next, please.
Phil Crane.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council. Thank you for your time. My name is Phil Crane. I live off of Flat Creek Road, and I'm running for Fayette County Commission. I want to speak briefly about the concerns in our community around potential development. Thank you. I want to speak briefly about concerns in our community and around potential development and the recent annexation study. The study has raised a lot of questions for residents right now, and many people are unsure of what is actually being considered and what is not. As you all 5 of you ran on clear communication and community engagement, I think that this is an opportunity. Communication is a two-way street, and so far, there's only been one direction of communication, from you to citizens. This is the perfect time to hold a town hall focused on annexation and the potential development as a result. Bring people in, walk them through what is known, what is unknown, because it is a study, and what the process is going to look like. Let residents ask questions and be part of the conversation. Even if the answers are not final, the conversation matters. Engaging early builds trust and prevents confusion from turning into frustration and misinformation. Our residents care deeply about this community, and they just want to be informed and feel heard. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, please.
Carrie Cook.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Kerry Cook. I live at 152 Lakeside Drive in the Lakeside subdivision. I've got several items here. I call it food for thought. I just want to share some concerns with you. The first one that I have is golf cart safety. And as you know, we have the decals now on the front and back of golf carts where you see them on the golf cart path. But I must confess, and I'm out on the cart path a lot. I'm walking or biking. And I was out yesterday, and I don't know how many carts came up behind me, and not one signaled. Not one. And to me, I mean, something really needs to be done, and I've said this before somebody gets killed. There are a lot of people that are driving too fast, not only golf carts, but these scooters and e-bikes and stuff like that. But I focus on the golf carts because of their size and their speeds too. But I think something should be done. In fact, I was thinking about doing this. I don't know where it would go, but I was thinking about just keeping a log of the 10 that I see out on the golf cart path that come up and blow by me and show me their decal, to report that to the police and say, they didn't give me the warning. And I'm not sure if that's in the law now. I know we had some proposal that I thought went to the General Assembly for them to give some approval for these electric motorized devices. But that to me is a big concern because, like I said, I walk the paths, I ride the paths, and yesterday, not one person, and there was a lot of golf carts that came up behind me, and not one signal. That needs to stop, and I urge you to do something, whether it's putting a camera in a high traffic area and just zooming in and getting their tag number and reporting them. I actually got a ticket in a school district one time. I was going through there maybe 5 miles over the speed limit, and the camera got me, and I got a notice in the mail to pay $50 or something because I exceeded that speed limit. So that's a concern of mine. Safety, and all these people too probably get on the cart path too and want to walk safely. The next one, I went to recently to the Transportation Advisory meeting, and they were talking about putting up the signs in these villages. And I would just urge you to bring back the sign that was up originally at the Walgreens at South Parkway and 54. Now, the sign, I think, might have been up a little too high. There might have been concerns about safety there, but I think we can put a low-level sign there, and let's highlight that we're a village town. A lot of these areas, like Kedron, I don't know where a sign is up there that says Kedron Village, but it is one. Silt in the pond, the feeder lake that feeds Lake Peachtree on the left there, if you go down to the boat dock, that is building up in the upper area close to the drain pipe, more and more silt, and it's driving the water over there close to the cart path. The cart path, it's just within a few feet of being eroded. Trees now are falling into the lake because it's eroding, so something needs to be done about that. The stormwater fee, I know that's on the agenda, but I do express some concern too about increasing that with the price of gasoline, groceries, and everything else. If there's some unrestricted funds out of I think it's $34 million that we have in unrestricted funds, I would just urge you to maybe consider that and take some of the burden off of the citizenry. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, please.
Crystal Maynor.
Hi, I'm Crystal Maynor. I don't know if this really needed a public comment, but I'm here in support of the public art plan that we're hoping to enact. I happened to see it come across my computer screen. I'm with Crystal Michelle Mural Studio, and so I just wanted to say that I'm very excited to see the art coming to Peachtree City. This is especially close to my heart because I live about a mile from here, so I have already been scoping out all of the great places to paint. I know what a benefit it is to a city, so I'm just so happy to see it. I think everything was really well written. It seems really well planned out, so I'm super excited. That's all.
Thank you. Was that our last speaker?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Agenda changes, council, any? No. Quarterly reports, 2025 annual report. Council, do you have questions or comments? Highlights? The year in review.
Let me get to that page.
Okay.
Go ask somebody else.
Okay. Comments, anybody?
Yes, if I can get to that page
Okay.
myself.
In the meantime, I'll just tell everybody that included in our council packet for tonight is a summary, a wrap-up of 2025 in review, department by department. It is comprehensive and very, very impressive. You can catch up on everything from emergency response times, employee awards, number of trees removed, how many subscribers we have to the Slice e-newsletter. It is comprehensive, it's in tonight's packet, and that's available through our website. So I encourage everybody to take a look. It's 2025 as a wrap. Ms. Brown?
Sure. Well, I appreciate getting the annual reports, and I talked to Chris and Justin in the hallway a few minutes ago. Getting them right immediately before the meeting did not afford me enough time to really go through them the way I wanted to. So I kind of want to delay having a full conversation on it until next meeting, perhaps, so.
Sure, bring it
You know,
up.
I just haven't had a chance to pull out all my copies of the quarterly ones and kind of like meld them together and see what's important.
Of course, there's a lot there too.
A lot.
Anybody else? Comments?
I just always appreciate that they're in here. I
Yeah.
think they're very well done and it's great information, so thank you.
Mr. Holland?
I really like them. I appreciate the graphicness of those, and I don't mean it in a bad way, graphic being very nice pictures and stuff. The one that I didn't, and maybe Chief Moon, you can answer this, who are those wonderful policemen who got noted in Ward? The names are not in there. Maybe you could just shout out their names.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, citizens. Starting from the left on educating the public, that is Detective Taylor. The two for their higher education, that is now Lieutenant Johnson and Sergeant Brown. They graduated from the Northwestern Police Staff and Command School, which is a 10-week leadership course. We were very thrilled about that. We remembered K-9 Midas that passed away during the past year. Now Captain Brad Williams graduated from the FBI National Academy last year, which is a little partial to me because I'm an NA graduate. It's another 10-week leadership program. And then that is, everyone knows the favorite SRO officer, Smiley. And that's where he is. And then we had the snowpocalypse in early of 2025.
Thank you, Chief. I do have a couple of other comments that are all good comments. I did my own little analysis on the crime here in the city. And again, for the second year, at least maybe even more years, only 2 years I've been tracking, you've got a 28.7% reduction in crime in this city. And kudos to you and your staff to continue to go down and keep the crime level in this city as low as it possibly can. And that includes not only your class 1, but also within the class 1, you've got the thefts, which is obviously one that we've seen a lot in the newspapers. That is down 35.2%. So kudos to the police department for great work.
All the credit goes to the officers in the field. They do a tremendous job.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Can I add to that real quick? Just while you're here and while this page is open, we also saw an increase of resource officers from 3 to 8,
Yeah.
which was a tremendous jump and a tremendous ask of your department. I know I pull up to carpool every day and there's one out there, and I just appreciate your work in fulfilling that. I know it was no small task.
Well, I
So
was just
thank
glad
you.
we could able to pull it off.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just
Mr.
have one comment that this is our first time doing an annual report. We've done the quarterlies, really since I've been here. We've done the quarterlies for at least 4 to 5 years now. And I think they were doing them before that. But this is our first year taking all those quarterly reports and condensing them into a total annual report. And I just want to give kudos to my executive assistant, Kayla Dennis, for wrangling all the departments together and she did all the legwork on these. So I think she did a great job.
Well done.
Well done.
All right, are you done?
Yeah, I'm all set.
All right, minutes. March 5th, 2026 City Council Work Session Minutes and March 5th, 2026 Executive Session Minutes. Can I get a motion?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we approve minutes from the March 5th City Council Work Session and March 5th Executive Session Minutes. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda, we have no items. Old agenda item 32503, text amendment to revise land use regulations to permit cosmetic tattooing and microblading. Shayla Reed.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, Mayor and Council. The item before you is an item that we've heard previously that is coming back based on some changes that you wanted to see. The item, just to give you a little history, was initiated back in March of last year. We've taken to the Planning Commission for a few times, and they provided a recommendation to you back on February 12th, and then we deferred it until today to allow for there to be more opportunity to make some amendments. So the amendments that was asked to be seen, so we are asking first as staff for tattooing to have a definition placed in there because we do mention tattoo parlors as a restriction in 2 different zoning classifications. So we're asking for the definition to be there for just to be clear as to what we're looking to define it as. And then we're looking to add microblading as a permitted use. So that definition that you're seeing there is reflective of what the state identifies as microblading. You'll find that in Chapter 42 of our code as well, where the Environmental Department references it. So we're asking to reflect that same exact zoning definition. So there are 5 different areas of the zoning code that will have changes if permitted to move forward. So general commercial, property zone, general commercial, light industrial, as well as limited use commercial district are the 4 that would have permitted uses for microblading within those 4 different classifications. The 5th one, which is LUI, which is limited use industrial, it would allow for anything zoned light industrial or general industrial to be a permitted use. The only challenge there was that there was a typo inside of this one. They identified it as limited industrial instead of light industrial. So you'll see in your text that I've asked for that language to be changed to say light. And that will then reflect to have that particular use of microblading in those 5 sections. I'll go back to the previous, oh gosh, sorry, going the wrong way. I guess if I just put it above me, I could see it. There we go, thank you. Okay. I'll go back so you can see those classification areas as to where it will be permitted for microblading services only. And Mayor, that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. It doesn't seem, Council, like microblading would take hours and hours of staff time, but it has, and I really appreciate that you've been so thorough in this approach. And with this ordinance, we have careful definitions and exact locations that control where microblading can be without opening our city up to tattoo parlors. We had a public hearing already on this last time. Nobody spoke against the new ordinance. 1 person spoke in favor because she's a business owner. So any other comments, Council?
Can I just ask a question? I feel like I remember when the individual who spoke on it last time when she was here, I think her business was at Parkway and Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
With the zones where those were allowing this, does it include her? Do you know?
So I would say yes and no because she's doing 2 separate services. She says microblading and cosmetic tattooing. We're not permitting cosmetic tattooing. Cosmetic tattooing is your standard tattooing. Microblading is directly at the eyebrow. So it's a yes and it's a no.
Okay, yeah, I was just asking about microblading, but
Yes,
she's
just
where she
microblading.
is, she would be allowed to do that. Okay,
Correct.
Great. Thank you.
Council?
No questions.
All right, can I get a motion?
If you're ready.
Yes.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve text amendment, item 032503, text amendment to revise land use regulations to permit cosmetic tattooing and microblading.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Mayor,
All opposed?
I apologize. If we can actually get that reworded to not state the cosmetic
Yeah.
tattooing at the beginning of that, motion, please.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And Councilman
It's-
Holland, if you
I'm
can
just
withdraw.
reading what it says on the agenda
Yep,
here.
Yep,
That's correct.
Okay.
we will,
Why don't we do this? Let's make a motion to reconsider that item.
Motion to reconsider.
Second.
I have a motion to reconsider and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Give me
Okay.
the right terms to put into this. Don't say cosmetic tattooing.
That's correct.
So, okay, so I'll just cross that out and do it again.
Correct.
Okay. Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the text amendment 032503 to revise land use regulation permit microblading.
Thank you. Can I get a
Did I
second?
get it right?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries. Thanks very much. New agenda item A, 32603, Public Art Master Plan. Chris Hobby.
Good evening. Y'all, you don't know it, but you just made Kelly very happy. So,
I think a lot of the ladies in our city will be very happy about that.
she's been really upset about this. But we discussed at our last meeting this public art master plan. Since the meeting, we have gotten some positive feedback. We got some positive feedback tonight. We appreciate that. We have made some minor edits just to clean up some language and to change from calling them golf cart paths to calling them, what do we call them? No, it's not multi-use.
No, shared
Shared
use
use.
paths.
I could think of
Sups.
that, I could think of SUP, but I couldn't think of what it stood for.
Bumps.
So, but other than that, it says it's exactly the same as what you had before you, a couple weeks ago. Councilman Holland did ask if we could go back and maybe revise some of the pictures within the document so they're more Peachtree City and less generic. We'll certainly can do that, so. But that's it. It's the same as what you had before you a couple weeks ago, except for some very minor edits.
Thank you. Council?
Just-
Question?
Yeah, one comment, I wanted to acknowledge the comment earlier about creating more identity amongst our villages, and I think this public art master plan presents that opportunity. I mean, you see this in other cities and different neighborhoods have their own signs, and I think this creates a unique opportunity. I'm looking at the guide here, and it says community identity and stories and public art placement strategies. So just to the public comment earlier, I think it's a great opportunity. And thrilled about this. Thanks.
I have a, if you're done?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I have a question. I had brought up last meeting about adding it to the navigation app, and, does that need to be in the master plan or not?
I don't think it has to be in the master plan. That's something we can just do.
Okay.
And so I think from the discussions we've had, it's something we can do, and so, but I think when we get our citizen committee appointed, they'll kind of begin to drive some of that. And
Okay.
placement and other things.
Yeah, I had several people after the last meeting come up and like echo that they really want it to be, like all of the art to be geocached. So it's like, you know,
Yeah.
we have a lot of geocachers, apparently more than I knew.
We live in an amazing world.
I had well, I want to clarify something. I had brought up at the last meeting that I didn't think we should be selling the bike racks to other businesses and commercial and, you know, doctor's offices and whatever. And so I asked a couple of questions, and I do want to bring out some information. So the city had ordered 30 bike racks for a cost of $4,932.30, which makes them about $164.41 a piece, which is much cheaper then I think a lot of people are going to, as I did some more research on the side, it's going to cost individual business owners a lot more money than that to try to have a commercially produced bike rack. So I've kind of swung my entire attitude on the whole thing to, no, in order to get the bike racks out, because really the ultimate goal is we need more bike racks out at more places, whether it's commercial places, parks, city buildings, all of our recreation facilities. We need to do this. So where I had originally said I thought they should be on their own and we should use and keep our own ones to ourselves, I've changed my mind on that and said, you know, hey, the important thing is let's get the racks out there, let's get them mounted. So then I asked for the list, and I did get the list, and I'd really like us to move forward on making sure that we put them in, not just at the first 30 city locations that we identified, but there's 34 others that the tag group specifically notated should have it. I think, you know, we need to just constantly keep moving in the direction to get that, to make that happen. So, I mean, that's what the tag is doing for us, and they're helping us out with that. And I'm sure they put a lot of thought into what the chart that they did. I think we need to move to that. Certainly buying another 30, it's gonna cost us a little bit more for the next 30, or even if we order more than that, so we have some to sell to some of the commercial businesses. I think we need to go in that direction. So.
All right. Anything else?
Oh, yeah, May, just so you know, I would not have known this except for Keith Larson. I had a conversation with him the other day, but May is National Bike Month. And so there's the bike racks, obviously a hot topic. We want to see more of them going out. But there's also the donated repair rack, which I did ask about, and we need to get that installed because it was donated. So I'd like to see that happen before May the 1st, please. So that's it.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Johnson?
I'm in support.
Mr. Polachek?
In support.
Mr. Holland, any comments?
I'm certainly in support. I've got a few comments, though. Thank you for getting updated pictures going in there of Peachtree City in there and not other areas. I appreciate that. I have, I'm trying to get that SUP out there. And we all got to start, instead of saying the cart paths, the golf cart paths, it's the shared use path, because everybody gets to use it. The bikers, the walkers, the carts, everyone. It's shared by everybody. The next one I have is comments of, don't forget we have nature trails here in the city, so let's add them to the list. I can tell you I absolutely love this thing. This happens to be, even though I'm an engineer, I love this kind of artistic stuff. I don't know if I appreciate it as much as everybody else, but I just love it. And I want everybody to remember, about 5 or 6 months ago, I offered to buy a statue of Flat Creek Floyd and donate it to the city. And maybe this will be one of the first ones that you might take me up on. So, those are my comments, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. Can I get a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve the Public Art Master Plan, the associated budget amendment, and the associated ordinance to create the Public Art Advisory Group.
A second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. New agenda item 32604, chapters 70 and 78, ordinance amendments. Jonathan Miller.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So in the previous workshop, we did kind of a presentation. There was a lot that the TAG group did as far as revising chapter 70 and 78. So we kind of hit some of the highlights in the workshop and went over. There were obviously some comments with some defining things that we needed to change, some corrections, grammatical corrections, and a few things that we took back from council comments. So we added the pedal assisted EVs, we actually defined across, along, and on, so that it's very clear as to what those mean. We did get an email where on McDuff, we actually missed a section where you would technically have to get on the road, so we corrected that language to basically add that as an exception in there. And then also we added it was already prohibited, but just for clarifications, Class 3s were actually identified under the, Class 3 electric bikes were identified under the prohibited list. So I think we've hit everything, so really, we're just bringing this forward again to ask for council to adopt those changes if they would like to.
Thank you very much. Council?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I went back and read this and it was much more clear, so even though it seems like a silly, edit to make, it, was a lot easier to comprehend, so thank you for doing that, I appreciate it.
Mr. Polachek, any comments? Ms. Brown?
Okay, so, the unanswered question, that we didn't really discuss at the last meeting is whether or not, and it had been discussed by the TAG, and that is whether or not we should add a requirement for insurance on carts.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, that was an unanswered question.
It was an unanswered question. And I understand why the TAG group would be a little reluctant to maybe say, oh, well, we should do this. I think that is the responsibility of us up here. So I think, I'd like to know, and I did not have a chance as I was making my notes today to make any kind of phone calls and stuff since I missed a meeting this afternoon and had to reschedule it. But, I really think that, and we can ask Ted whether or not there's a liability, not a liability, I want to say that word, whether there's an issue of, to protect our citizens from having a very damaging lawsuit against them. Because if somebody has no insurance and they're involved in an accident and there's bodily injury, it's like, I think we're at that point. I know when I carry insurance on my golf cart, it's not that expensive. And I just don't I guess I don't understand why anybody would operate a cart and not have it.
So did you have a question for Mr. Meeker?
Okay, so my question for Mr. Meeker is, where do we stand on requiring that in our ordinance?
That's, as you so well put it a few minutes ago, that's a council decision.
Okay. So then.
We can certainly make it a requirement.
Okay. So obviously I sprang that on my council members here without talking to them beforehand. So this is not something we're necessarily gonna decide today. The question then would be, do we wait and decide on that issue separate, or do we delay making the decision on this?
I would
And-
suggest that we decide separately. We have a perfectly good,
Okay.
hard-fought, hard-won ordinance that the TAG group especially has spent countless hours on. It's good work, and I'd like to see
Yeah,
us.
I was not really recommending that we wait. I was just saying it's two options. So,
Sure.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Good.
But I think we should enter into that discussion over time, and not an extended period of time, but I think we need to really look at it, especially with all of the other micro-mobility vehicles that are out there, and let's just say the speed factors that are going on, so.
All right. Any other comments? Ms. Brown?
No.
Anybody else? Mr. Holland?
I do. Couple clarification questions.
Okay.
I think they should be easy softball questions for you. The difference between, to make sure it's clear in everyone's mind, the difference between a low-speed vehicle, LSV, and a golf cart. What's the difference between them? And then I'll have a follow-up question on that.
Okay, so the low-speed vehicle has the ability to has a restricted mode that it can be put in to keep it under 20 miles per hour.
Mhm.
That's at least what it's supposed to have, the way the ordinance is written.
Correct.
And then the motorized carts, because we don't call them golf carts, they have to be governed, or they only go up to 20 miles an hour. Now, the low-speed vehicles, because they're registered on the road, have the ability to go 25, and then they're restricted by speed on which roads they can actually utilize.
And that's a good explanation between the two, because they are different, and they're called two different things. They may look a little bit alike. One may be a little fatter than the other, and it's got a little different of this and that. But here's the big difference, which is part 2 of this. According to the ordinance, for LSVs, you are required to have insurance.
Right, because you're registering.
Correct.
those
You're
through
going
the
actually
county.
on the road with that. So you have to have insurance on that. That's one of them that is required under the ordinance. As opposed to golf carts, as you want to call them, the other type, you're not required. But I do like the idea of thinking about that and maybe doing that at a later time. Madam Mayor, I really don't have any other issues. I think it's a good one. I think we ought to pass it.
All right, can I get a motion?
Can I bring up something that I forgot in my very long list of comments?
Certainly.
It's mostly a question, and I wrote this down, and, has the PAEV been listed as an unauthorized vehicle since March the 5th? And then I wrote, at the last meeting, Justin said the PAEV was not listed as authorized, but also wasn't listed as unauthorized. So,
We put it in there, talking with Keith, who is an expert on these things. We are classifying the PAEV as the same as a motorized cart. So we are going to allow them on the paths, but because they are very similar to carts, they just have pedals to kind of get under the electric assist kind of category. We're treating them like carts because they're the same width, they have electric motors, so they would actually have to come register them like a cart, and they would be authorized if they're registered. Unregistered PAEVs would be prohibited.
okay, so then I think it was they were not listed as authorized. Do we need to make that change?
They are listed as authorized, I
Okay.
think, in the current
Then I
version.
must have-
Let me check.
I believe so.
Sorry to throw the monkey wrench in on
That's
that.
fine, I'll check.
Can I go while you?
That's the
Okay, I'm gonna go, just a one quick comment that I had, I forgot, and that is, you cannot modify under this particular ordinance now. There's no modification allowed on the golf carts or the LSVs that take them over 20 miles per hour. You gotta do that. And the other part of that comment is, if you happen to be walking on the street, you all know what the rules of the road are. You always walk facing the traffic, etc. The same rules that are applying to the road are applying according to the tag, what they put together. The same rules are on the shared youth paths. So whatever you do on the roads, you do the same on the shared youth path, whether it's bicycles or walking or a skateboard or whatever. Same rules. That's all just the comments that
Thank you.
make
And
sure it's important.
Mr.
It's
Strickland.
listed on there,
Section
Justin,
78.
number
Yes.
11.
Section 78-9411,
Yep.
registered pedal assist electric vehicles, PAEV, and then that's under authorized. In section 7895 under prohibited, number 15, unregistered pedal assist electric vehicles. See, it's the last one.
Okay, so the defining thing is whether they have to be registered.
Right.
So if it's unregistered, it's not authorized.
Correct.
They must be okay. That's where
Under,
see, I'm reading two different things pertaining to the same vehicle.
in
and
other
it's like-
sections, we
Okay.
say PAEVs will be treated the same as motorized cars.
Okay.
For
All right, can I get a motion?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I make a motion that item 032604, Chapter 70 and 78, or ordinance amendments be approved.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
New agenda item, 32605, stormwater utility rate update. Dave Borkowski.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Dave Borkowski, City Engineer. Just a quick summary for some folks that may be new to this issue. We had talked about updating our stormwater utility rate at the council retreat, and we had also discussed this at length in the last council meeting. We had a very detailed presentation on this issue. So tonight, we are bringing forth an ordinance for adoption that would increase the rate of our standard ERU from $6.89, I believe it is, to $14 per ERU. And that ordinance is in your packet. If approved by council, we would come back later at a future meeting to redo the credit manual and put all those things that we had discussed in the credit manual for adoption as well. And tonight, we have our expert, Hope from ISE, to answer any detailed questions if you have any more questions that we can't answer. But that's brief, that's quick summary.
Thank you very much. I mean, to sum it up, and my recollection from your very, very detailed proposal last time was, we are behind, we're backlogged, unnecessary projects. Was it 13.5 million in projects that are backlogged, or was it 20?
I think that was just the stormwater pipes. It was like 20 million.
20 million in projects waiting to be done. Yeah, so we're having to modify our rate structure, possibly in the future, the way we bill. And these are necessary projects to keep our waterways clean, prevent erosion, prevent flooding, keep our infrastructure safe, and pay respect to our environment. Council, do you have any questions or concerns?
I have some comments, more so than questions.
Sure, go ahead, Ms. Brown.
Okay. Several people, some of who are here today, actually approached me to talk to me about this. There's the obvious pushback against raising the fees. We all know that. Nobody likes any fees to go up. It's been a very long time, I think since 2008, since there was a fee increase.
13.
If I remember, 13, sorry, wrong year. That's still 13 years ago since we've had any kind of a fee increase. So, as I've talked to some of my friends and said, you know, from the minute you put a pipe in the ground, you start the alarm, set the alarm for when it's gonna fail. And we all know this. We know it's for water pipes, sewer pipes, and it's also for stormwater pipes. That's just the way it is. If we proceed with this, the plan is that there are many, many, many more pipes that we can reline and replace in a very appropriate manner to identify the ones that need to be done the most and replace them or reline them at a much lower cost than if they collapse. So I really want everybody to understand what we're doing and why. And then the other thing that I really want to talk about, and I'd really love to just wrap it all up in one big package with a nice bow on the top, and that is that a lot of people came to me and said, really, 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 please, including several who are here tonight, put it in the property tax bills. That this is not something that they, are gleeful about when they get the stormwater bill. It's like, it's easier for the average person to just absorb it. If they have a mortgage, it's gonna be escrowed, it's gonna feel painless. And so I'd really like to think that the council is going to, come to an agreement that we should go ahead and proceed to do that. Kelly gave us a full prediction on, it's gonna be cheaper in the long run for us to let the tax commission office to put a line item, keep it separate. It will not be part of the millage rate. It'll be a separate line item, like you see the 9/11 kind of stuff, or the 911, billing. It'll be a separate line item on there. And I think that that's definitely the way to go. But clearly, we need to do this, so.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Is that something we can do tonight? Can we add that, or does that need to be separate?
We're gonna do an IGA with the tax commissioner, and that'll be before you all next month.
But she's amenable, so.
So
Okay.
we would just pass this, but all this other paperwork will get done as a secondary IGA?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
But I wanna go in that direction, so that's,
Yep.
I mean, I think that's the way to go.
I agree.
Yeah.
The first
I-
step
I-
is annual billing.
Yeah, it'll,
The first step is annual billing.
Yeah.
And how you go about collecting it is something that they're gonna address, or
Right.
Good.
come back with an idea to address it.
That works.
Is that all within what we're passing?
well, that's why I have a question
The
for
annual
Hope,
billing?
because you worked on this. I don't think we specifically say in the ordinance that it's semi or annual, do we?
No, it says in there as
We
directed by
choose-
council.
Yeah, we
Oh, as
choose what the
directed
most
by council.
efficient.
Okay.
So it makes it easy.
So we'll take that up with an IGA in April. Any other last comments, council? Can I,
I just love it, that's all.
Yeah,
I'm glad
yeah.
we're doing something for stormwater.
necessary.
Yep.
Can I get a motion?
I'd be happy to make that, Madam Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to approve item 032605, stormwater utility rate update.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
New agenda item 32606, multiple police station buildings renovation design. Dave Borkowski.
Yes, we also talked about this a little bit at the last council meeting. We're bringing this back tonight to request approval for awarding the design contract for the multiple police station buildings to GMC in the amount of $406,090. So we can get started on the design of the new EOC and all those things.
Thank you. Council, questions, comments? We covered it last time.
Yep.
Can I get a motion?
Before you go there, can I ask staff one quick question? I was looking through the agreement. We may want to consider a change order depending on what happens with the next agenda item. Is that something that we can alert and go ahead and do a change order? We can always add it back, but as to 107 Guthrie.
This design does include that building?
Right, that's what I'm saying. Can we do a change order and get an allocation for what they had contemplated for 107 Guthrie?
Oh,
In the
okay.
event that we don't secure a purchase
That we
agreement.
don't do it. Okay, yeah, they can break that out for
Okay,
me.
we're gonna need that broken out in a potential change order for council.
Okay,
I go ahead and take it out now. We can always add it back in later if we need to.
okay.
Do we need to,
Yeah.
do you
We
want
need
to
to put an
make the
amendment
motion
together?
for us?
I would just make a motion to approve the agreement subject to a potential change order.
So
I need-
moved.
Thank you. I need a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank
Thank you.
you. Item E, 32607. What say you, Mr. Meeker?
We need a motion to continue this matter indefinitely.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Public hearing, 32608, text amendment to the lighting ordinance, section 731.2 of the Land Development Ordinance. Shayla Reed.
Yes, ma'am. So this is an item that was initiated by City Council some time back. Once the slide is loaded, I'll be able to show you the.
Madam Mayor, while they're pulling that up, I'll go ahead and read the protocol. When the public hearing is opened, members of council will become hearers. No action on their part is in order until the mayor declares the hearing complete. First, city staff will present the request and provide an assessment of compliance with city code. The mayor will then allow up to 10 minutes for speakers on each side of the issue to present evidence. No individual member of the public will be given more than 5 minutes to speak. Time limits may only be extended by a majority vote of council and will be divided equally between those supporting and those opposing the issue. The mayor will recognize the applicant and those supporting the issue to present evidence. Remarks will be limited to a total of 10 minutes. The mayor will then recognize those opposing the issue to present evidence for up to 10 minutes. Prior to closing the public hearing, city staff and the public will be given the opportunity to ask questions of either or both sides of the issue. When the mayor and council are assured that the presentation of evidence is complete, the public hearing shall be ended, and the council may then debate the issue and render a decision. All speakers from the public are asked to follow these rules. 1, please wait to be recognized by the mayor. 2, come to the microphone and state your name and neighborhood prior to making remarks. 3, keep individual remarks under 5 minutes and do not repeat comments. And 4, address all comments to the mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Reed?
Thank you. Okay, so this is a public hearing, as mentioned, for an amendment to our to our land development ordinance for light fixtures. We brought this to you back in January to ask for permission to move forward with a potential text amendment. We've had a few discussions with the Planning Commission. They've spent some time assisting us in drafting the language for this. And so we're here tonight to hear more about how to move forward with this item. So currently, our light ordinance or LED referencing, it only lists out the type of lighting that is allowed. As you're seeing here in only, it's identifying 5 or so different lighting types. We found those to be a little past tense of uses for lighting. And so we found that we would like to be more modernized with how we're handling the lighting component. So we've brought a suggestion over to the Planning Commission. They've taken the opportunity to add a little bit more language. So what you're seeing here is the LED referencing to be the preferred option. However, we're still allowing for the other options that were previously listed inside of the passcode to still be an allowable type, but are still pushing for the LED. As mentioned in the initiation of this, most of our city projects have LED lighting. As mentioned, it's more modern to have that style lighting. And you'll see that it also mentions to the level of consistency and color temperature. That way that the lighting doesn't look different throughout the site. And with that, Mayor, that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. This is a public hearing, so at this time, I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone who wishes to speak in favor? Seeing none, is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I hereby close the public hearing. Council, comments?
I can't believe it took us this long to put LED lights in this policy. Because they've been out for a very long time. They use so much less electricity than so many of the other lighting options. This is just baffling. But anyway, I'm happy to see it
So
changed.
you're in favor?
Oh, yeah.
Any other comments, questions?
No comments.
Yeah, the only one I have is, I thought that many states banned mercury vapor. Does anybody know that that's a truism, that they've banned that as one of the lighting options in the states? And I don't know if the state of Georgia has done that.
I have not heard of that.
Okay, that's just something that I know in other states where I've worked that was not allowed. Okay,
All right,
that's the only comment I have, Madam Mayor.
thank you. Can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion if you'd like.
Sure.
Madam Mayor, I'm making a motion to approve items 032608, text amendment to the lighting ordinance, section 731.2 of the land development ordinance.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Council staff topics, cars and cams review. Jasmine Julio.
Yes, Madam Mayor and Council, this has been something that our staff has been working on for some time. Essentially, these are some administrative rules and regulations that we have. However, some of them do involve the public, but they are not located anywhere publicly. They're not in an ordinance. They're on an archiving file that is only internal. At one point in time, that system was public. However, due to cybersecurity reasons, it was taken off. And now what we are trying to do is consolidate these items that are public facing and have them actually listed as ordinances instead of a policy that no one can reference to. So we anticipate bringing these forward to you all in the future. We've been rewriting them for some time, and we hope that we can, have you all review and approve them at a future meeting. Just wanted to give you all a heads up, and there's a lot of them, so I just want to advise that. Some of them have been, not all of them are public facing. Some of them have been moved into SOPs for the police, fire, our own personnel policies, so you guys have seen some of those. But there are others that are public facing that we would like to incorporate into the ordinances.
All right, that's coming. Stay tuned. Council?
I don't have anything.
I have two comments and one item actually, Madam Mayor. One, I wanted to address Pine Gate and just acknowledge the frustration we're seeing there. And those of you in the room who weren't aware, a month ago, AT&T hit a bunch of water lines installing fiber, and a bunch of houses were out of water. And it's very frustrating to see this happening. I mean, it's good to modernize the city. I think we're all in support of that, but it happened 3 or 4 times in 1 week. And, I think I was reached out to by a bunch of neighbors there, and it's frustrating to see. And so earlier this week, it happened again. I mean, I woke up to an email about a resident who, I think water went out from 8 p.m. until 5 a.m. It's inexcusable. Now, I had to take a deep breath. It took a few hours to realize it was Georgia Power this time, who have historically been very good actors and responsible. And I just want to make the comment that we acknowledge the frustration from the neighbors there, and we're going to do everything we can to ensure, what the issue is. And I know there may be conversation about an outdated water line map between the county and maybe the subcontractors. They're not getting the most updated one. We will do what we can. I acknowledge our staff for being so responsive to the residents there and working with the county to ensure that the water was reinstated immediately. But I just want to acknowledge that this will continue we'll have laser eyes on it. And the other one, there was a comment earlier about a town hall regarding the annexation study. I think that's something I'm fully supportive, and I believe that came up when the consulting firm presented, and it's part of their contract to do public hearings on this for their findings. So that's something that, I don't know how many is in that contract, but hopefully more than one, maybe two. Thank you. So we'll have 2 public hearings or town halls on an annexation study, and ensure that the findings are presented, and then there's also opportunity to have a Q&A from residents. So it's not just you're being presented information and you gotta hear it. There'll be an opportunity to engage with the consultants. I think that's a very important step in this process. And then one item, Madam Mayor. We received an email this week about open container at the Avenue and looking into making that more of an entertainment district. A bunch of businesses signed a letter supporting that. When I think about attracting the next generation of families and businesses to Peachtree City, modernizing, and also looking at ensuring that we remain attractive for new businesses that come here, is an ordinance like that something we should consider? I believe this came up before I was on council, but y'all had a discussion on this late last year and decided to table it. So would request that we bring that up for discussion at the next meeting. And that's all I have.
All right.
Thank you.
Do we have consensus that we could move forward on the entertainment district? I'll start on this end.
Yeah, I have no problem with it. I think as long as I had gotten the approval from the police department, which they did, I am all for it.
You don't need, under the current one, Councilman Polachek can just say he wants to consider it at a future.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay, that's right.
All right, well, I'm in favor of that. We'll
Yeah, I'm in favor too.
have it on a future agenda.
Good, then I don't have to tell you, I oppose it.
Well, there you go.
Okay. Look forward to the discussion.
Thank you.
But I'll tell you
Thanks.
anyway.
I know you will.
Ms. Johnson,
I
anything?
don't have anything for tonight.
Ms. Brown?
I want to echo Carrie Cook's comment. The lack of horns on the path system. I can't tell you how many times I've been out there walking my dog and somebody goes booming on past me. No horn, no acknowledgement, nothing. And I don't know whether, I mean, it's unfortunate. It's hard to regulate, Carrie. I'll tell you that. Because you can say, oh, you should use your horn. Everybody has to have a horn. I got a horn, the little ding, ding, ones, you can get them or used to be able to get them at the visitor center, I think.
You can get them from Jasmine.
Yeah, so.
We
I
have
mean,
given.
a little bicycle horn. I mean, anything to tell somebody you're coming. So I'm right there with you, Carrie. What can I say?
Okay. Anything else? Mr. Holland?
I just want to echo Councilman Polachek's town hall. I'm definitely think that is needed, particularly when we get to the annexation area, so I'll echo that and support that. And I do have something for our illustrious attorney. I don't have anything going for this. That's 4 meetings in a row, but I have no council staff topics.
All right, I have one. I went and toured the future site of the Altitude Trampoline Park that's going in at the former Kmart location. Of course, Ace Pickleball is in half the space and Altitude is coming in the other half. He is putting in a toddler area out of respect to the Goddard School, which is right next door. They're putting in some miniature golf. They're doing major renovations. They want to make this their flagship location, and he would like to come in and give us a very brief presentation on what's coming up at Altitude Park. Anybody have any problems with that? I think it's
Nope.
very exciting.
Is there a timeline on opening? My 4-year-old is asking.
That'll be a good question for him. Yeah. All right, that's all we have. Do we have executive session?
Mayor, I had one staff comment. And then I'll tell you, yes, we do have an executive session. One of the issues that was brought up tonight was the insurance requirement for golf carts. It's obviously that's not the only motorized type vehicle that's now allowed on our path. So I think this is gonna save me an email tomorrow. If there are other vehicles that we allow on the path that we may want to put some insurance requirements on, I don't need that answer now, but that's something I want y'all to start thinking about.
Should we just put it on a future agenda to bring it up? Is that what you're suggesting?
We can, but when we bring it up, I just wanted you to start thinking about what all you may
Okay.
want to include in that. And
Okay.
yes, we have an executive session about potential litigation and real estate.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Madam Mayor, I move that we go into executive session for real estate and pending litigation.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.